Hi team, Miss Wan here. I originally was going to read to you, but I'm just going to make a little video just to talk you through some of the things that are going to come up in the reading that you do. So I'm going to ask that you all read from page 15 all the way to page 23. There's one scene that really comes about in these pages, where, okay, so there's two big things that happen. So one of the first big things that happen is that Denver almost tries to like out her mom, about having killed her own child, and that's why no one comes to visit them, at 123. Excuse me, 124. Um, my classroom's 123, talking about 124. Um, so Paul D is going to suggest to them that they should move, and Setha refuses to move because they approach life in very different ways, and this is one example of it. So we know that Paul D said he's been walking for 18 years, meaning that he hasn't really had a solid foundation or like home base that he can go to. While Setha, when she frees herself and her family from Sweet Home, she goes and finds Baby Suggs, who has been freed, and Baby Suggs was given a home as part of the Underground Railroad because Baby Suggs was kind of iconic. She was a preacher, she was a community leader. People really relied on her, they trusted her. She had so much wisdom. And so a white family gifted her a home as long as that home could be a stop on the Underground Railroad. And people would go to her house and be taken care of by her, before they were sent on to their next stop. So for Setha, having a home base is something that she has always had some sense of, especially ever since she has freed herself. So Setha and Denver are going to go back and forth. Paul D is the outsider. We're going to see him try to show his empathetic side, but there's going to be some things that he just cannot connect to wholly. And one of those things is going to be the experience of what it was like for Setha to be a mother. So Setha is going to allude to initially this tree on her back. And the tree on her back is going to be a collection of scars that she got while she was at Sweet Home after school teacher came and took over Sweet Home. So she's going to have what she calls a tree, but it's the scar tissue that on her back has formed. So earlier today, I had asked you guys to take notes in your book about how we know that she does not play. She is not sensitive to gore. She's not sensitive to violence. And this is another example of that, of how she has become desensitized to the bad things that have happened to her, the scars on her back included. So Paul D is going to ask her about it, and she's going to tell him a little bit. So she's going to be making biscuits while she's telling this. So you have to kind of imagine the scene that's happening when the story goes down. That Setha is going to be making the biscuits. Paul D is going to be like, "You have a tree on your back. I don't think that you actually have a literal tree on her back." And she doesn't go into it and explain it how I've just explained to you. She is making the biscuits and she just starts telling parts of the story, because remember how memory operates. It's easy for us as the listener to want the story to go from, okay, this is how it started out, and then this happened and this happened. But for someone who's really working through those really tough memories, our memory just does not operate in that way. And so she's going to kind of like give him little bits and pieces for him to clarify. I want you to pay attention to how they talk about the situation, because Paul D is very much going to focus in on the physical pain that Setha went through, where Setha is going to be most offended by or most shocked by not the physical pain that she went through, but the fact that they took her milk in the assault that she experienced. Because for her, we know that being a mom is very much closely associated with freedom. And so for the men to take her milk, that's also a symbol for her motherhood and her freedom. So I want you to pay attention to the language that they use when they're going back and forth with that. And then again, we had made note earlier on how Paul D was introduced as this empathetic man. I want you to try to find the places where he tries to show this empathy for Setha in this very first chapter. So read through page 23, pause there, do the little exit slip. It's like a paragraph that I want you to write to talk about the differences that we already see existing between Poldi and Setha. All right. Be nice to each other, be nice to the sub. I will be back on Wednesday. Bye-bye. Actually, I'm going to be back after lunch if you have any questions.